Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Today we are unpacking law number 39, which is stir up waters to catch fish. Anger and emotion are strategically counterproductive. You must always stay calm and objective. But if you can make your enemies angry while staying calm yourself, you gain a decided advantage. Put your enemies off balance. Find the chink in their vanity through which you can rattle them, and you hold the strings. This very much feeds off of our discussion yesterday. So I'm really just going to have this as an extension of that. The reversal of this is a little bit longer. Let me take a look here. I'm just going to read the whole thing. It's a little bit longer. He has a reference, a short story in here referring to Alexander the Great. But we'll go with it. When playing with people's emotions, you have to be careful. Study the enemy beforehand. Some fish are best left at the bottom of the pond. The leaders of the city of Tyre, capital of ancient Phoenicia, felt confident they could withstand Alexander the Great, who had conquered the Orient but had not attacked their city, which stood well protected on the water. They sent ambassadors to Alexander, saying that although they would recognize him as emperor, they would not allow him or his forces to enter Tyre. This, of course, enraged him, and he immediately mounted a siege. For 4 months, the city withstood him. And finally, he decided that the struggle was not worth it, and that he would come to terms with the Tyrians. But they, feeling that they had already baited Alexander and gotten away with it, and confident that they could withstand him, refused to negotiate. In fact, they killed his messengers. This pushed Alexander over the edge. Now, it did not matter to him how long the siege lasted, or how large an army it needed. He had the resources and would do whatever it took. He remounted his assault so strenuously that he captured Tyre within days, burned it to the ground, and sold its people into slavery. You can bait the powerful and get them to commit and divide their forces as Sun Pin did, but test the waters first. Find the gap in their strength. If there is no gap, if they are impossibly strong, you have nothing to gain and everything to lose by provoking them. Choose carefully whom you bait and never stir up the sharks. Finally, there are times when a well-timed burst of anger can do you good, but your anger must be manufactured and under your control. Then you can determine exactly how and on whom it will fall. Never stir up reactions that will work against you in the long run. And use your thunderbolts rarely to make them the more intimidating and meaningful. Whether purposefully staged or not, if your outbursts come too often, they will lose their power. This is something that is actually I would say, a warning that cuts both ways. Because yes, you need to be thoughtful and careful when you are engaging entities and individuals who are significantly more influential and powerful than you are. You do need to be careful because, yes, you do have the ability to destabilize their position, but you also have the ability for it to bite you in the fucking ass. So again, strategy, not just boldness, but strategy is important. Now, this also applies to leaders. If you beat down your people so fucking hard, eventually they're gonna get fucking tired of it. Obviously, I am not a Christian. I make no bones about that. But I think there is a useful story at play here from Genesis, the story of Moses leading the people of Israel out from Egypt. And ultimately, there was nothing that could stop them because they were also a significant majority. There were a whole nation of people inside of another nation. You band all those people together, that's a bad fucking day. Yes, it is important to choose your battles wisely. It is important to have enemies and to choose those enemies wisely. But how you engage with those enemies is also extremely important. It is equally important to know when to fight and when to run the fuck away. Like we were talking about yesterday, it is important to use your opponent's emotions to your advantage, to be able to reach in and hit them at those pain points and get them to react and get them to basically dig their own grave. By stirring up the fishes, if you will, you make it much easier to hunt because they're panicked, they're flying around, they're not thinking, and boom, you got them. But make sure that you're not fucking with a crocodile that's in the water too that's going to come and bite your fucking hand off. Be aware of those kinds of black swan events, those things, those random dangers or random effects that you didn't have any way of predicting. Always anticipate and expect the unpredictable. Now, that doesn't mean that that should paralyze you into not doing anything. It's simply a warning of, if you are going to yank on the tiger's tail, be prepared for that tiger to reach around and bite your fucking head off. But if you set yourself up strategically, you can pull that tail and you can be out of the way and actually capture the tiger if you are being strategic. And again, I can never say this enough, and I'm sure there's still going to be some people that get their panties in a wad over it. I am not advocating for deceitful, illegal things. I am not advocating for any kind of violence, for any kind of backdoor bullshit. I am saying use the environment. Use what's around you. Use your opponent's weaknesses to your advantage. This is life. If anybody told you that everybody is going to go be behaving on their best standards, their best morals, their best behavior, that's the norm, that's the baseline for human operation, they were lying to you. People will show their true colors when you put them in positions of authority. And one of the ways they do that is how they protect their position, who they will hurt to protect that position, whose shoulders they will stand on, and in some cases stomp on to be in their position. Now, that doesn't mean that every single person that gets promoted is a bad guy or by default stood on other people's shoulders or whatnot. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that the people that abuse power do everything in their power to make sure that they hold on to it for as long as they can. So those are people that you need to engage with carefully and strategically, but you should engage with. You really should. When do you engage and when do you not engage? Like I said before, every place is different. You're going to have different needs. You're going to have different battles to fight. It's important to evaluate. Do you have the cojones to hold on? Because a lot of these battles are not going to be fought and won overnight. They're not. It'll be a lot of hard work, a lot of failure, a lot of patience will be required. We didn't get here overnight. We're not getting out of this overnight. But if we actually stick together, if we actually put our profession and our patients and our fellow providers first, then we will start to see some good change. I would say the reason it's so important to learn these strategies of power is not because this is the golden way, but it's the reality that we live in a world where people are broken, where people are selfish, where people are dark and disturbed, and will do dark and disturbing things. And we need to be prepared to deal with those dark and disturbing things and realize that they don't necessarily have a conscience. You should assume that your enemy does not have a conscience. You should not depend on anyone having a conscience. And I know that sounds horrible and fatalistic to say, but by God, it's the fucking reality out here. You need to be prepared for the fact that you may have the moral high ground, but you also need the strategic high ground. Because having the moral high ground alone won't save you. Because there's a lot of people that don't have the moral high ground that have a lot more power and a lot more influence than you do. And you can achieve power and influence with being a good person. You can. It's not this zero-sum game, but you have to learn how to play the game. It's a very, very, very delicate dance that you have to walk. There's another statement in this book, and it's a quote from Sun Tzu, which obviously all of us have heard of The Art of War. It's probably a little overquoted, but this is I think there's a lot in there that is actually very genuinely applicable, not just to war, but to our day-to-day lives. If your opponent is of a hot temper, try to irritate him. If he is arrogant, try to encourage his egotism. One who is skilled at making the enemy move does so by creating a situation according to which the enemy will act. He entices the enemy with something he is certain to take. He keeps the enemy on the move by holding out bait and then attacks him with picked troops. What he's pointing out here is that if you can tap into those irrational, uncontrolled emotions, you actually control your enemy. Now, I would say lead them to a position of defeat, but not despondency. Take them to the place where they have nowhere to go but to submit. This is no different, again, than the jujitsu analogy. Again, I'm not a martial arts expert at all. But the goal isn't always to obliterate, but bringing your opposition to a point of submission, to where they have nowhere to go, they have no other option, and they finally surrender. And then you treat them fairly. As a result of that, you win. You win by pretty much every fucking metric at that point. So be thoughtful in how you go about tackling these issues, because this is not a trivial thing. This is not an easy thing. But more than anything, what I want to come from this, the reason I am very much in love with this book, is not because I think that every word in it is gospel, but because by understanding the good, the bad, and the ugly of how power works, we have the ability to create some hope. And that's what I want more than anything, is to create hope. Hope for people that things will get better. Because I would largely say that the people who are outright opposed to positive change in EMS are actually very few and far between. Sure, some people may bluster a little bit, but I think it's a lot of people that have actually lost hope. And if they are able to tap into that hope and able to see positive change, I think many of them will be won over. And that's what I want. I have no desire to build a little empire for myself or anything like that. Like, this is a podcast. I'm literally a talking head on your screen or in your ear right now. I simply want more and more and more people to find hope and to find strength and to have the ability to stick up for themselves and make positive changes in their life. So go do that. Go do that outside of EMS. There's so much life out there for you to live. Go live your life. Go find hope, whatever it is for you, and make it count. That's all I got for you guys. Be safe. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.